The next stop on our tour of snooker history takes us to Liverpool, to Thurstons, a venerable old table manufacturer and host to a veritable treasure trove of Green Bay's memorabilia.
Every now and again, a player would have played on a table in a club or in a private room where you needed a short cue to play a certain shot. Perhaps there was a pillar in the way, or perhaps even a fireplace. Effectively, the room was too small for the table. But there's another solution. Don't chop a bit off the cue, chop a bit off the table. And here at the museum, we've got an octagonal table. Wow, an Aladdin's cave of snooker memorabilia and history. It's difficult to know where to start, but I'm here with Peter Clare, the curator of the museum, and he's got a very special table I know to tell me about. Peter.
Well, this table is rumoured to have been used by the Duke of Wellington. It's of the right era. It's a folding table, so it can be moved round. And the story goes that the Duke of Wellington may have played on it during his campaigns. Really? It's of the right age. We understand that in the first Afghan war, they actually took billiard tables with them, strapped to the camels.
Wow.
So this is, it's possible, an 8-foot table here, which would be able to be strapped onto a camel and carted around. Whether it was ever used by the Duke of Wellington, we don't know, but he did play billiards. He has a table at Strathfield Say, so it is possible.
I'm going to make myself sound very silly here. It's got a wooden slate.
It's got a wooden, it's got a wooden bed in it, but I'll tell you all about that later.
Oh, okay, right, fair enough, right. Okay.
But the important developments are things like cushions.
Okay, yeah.
And if we go on, we can have a look at cushions.
Well, there's the octagonal table there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I can see how it wouldn't take up so much room. Because the corner bits, the bit where...
according to the ledger that we've got, it was made in 1908 and would fit into a bay window.
Perfect.
And
yes.
of course, you've got no corner pockets, double middles for you.
Everybody had a bay window in those days, didn't they? So cushions, yeah, they're a very important part of the game, yes.
Indeed, indeed. Well, what we really start off with is that prior to using rubber in the cushions, this was what a traditional cushion would have looked like. It's got selvage in, or list as it's called, into the stuffing, and the cloth went over it, material. So basically it was there to stop the ball rolling off the table. You wouldn't get a response from that at all.
No bounciness.
No bounciness at all.
So
really,
Peter Edward will be upset with that.
The next thing was the introduction of natural rubber into the cushions in about 1835. And this is something similar to what a natural rubber would have looked like. They've made it up into strips.
Oh, like laminated.
Laminated, yes, yeah. From then, you went to a vulcanised rubber. Prior to that, when you and I might have been going to play and leave the ladies playing cards and we'd go and have our port and brandy at the billiard room, because it went hard anyway, you would send your man to go and fill one of these, which is a long steel tube with hot water, and it's a...
to soften the rubber up,
it's to
make it a bit bouncier.
It's basically a hot water bottle, and you put it against the nose of the cushion.
Lovely.
It would warm the rubber up.
Marvellous.
And so it would then give you a response.
So you could get perhaps even, it might bounce out into the middle of the table.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
But obviously, so this was sort of, the early rubber wasn't really up to much. But so when did we get to the stage where you could actually sort of play where it would bounce off a couple of lengths?
Really, when it came to vulcanised rubber, and people used to promote the fact that they were low frostproof cushions. Because the vulcanised rubber wasn't affected by the cold as much.
Yes, all right.
And so that was really what a traditional, and still looks like today on most tables. You've got the rubber against the cushion block, against the cushion rubber block there, and then the body of the table. Because we have to refer back to wooden beds, were only very thin, and the response would be poor. They came up with things like steel blocks, and steel blocks goes back to Burroughs and Watts. And really what you've got then is this big piece of steel here. On this one it's actually a piece of wood, but there's a steel in there which is bolted onto the bed of the table, and then this piece of wood is the mask which goes on.
Okay, and that makes it more solid. And we play on steel blocks today, and we consider those to be the fastest responsive cushions there are. What's going on here, Peter?
Well, this is actually just a replica of the Thurston match table that used to be in Leicester Square.
Ah, the legendary...
The legendary match table. And Thurston's in, 1892, their table was chosen as a standard table for size and pocket openings at that point. So we got to a 12-foot by 6-foot as the playing area basically for the table.
That was chosen as the dimensions,
Yeah.
Effectively because they had a bit more sway than anybody else.
I think because at the time they had a bit of sway with the better players of the day.
Right. Oh, fantastic.
But the table, you know, prior to that, you could have a table which was 14 foot long and
Really?
sort of 4 foot wide, or something to fit in your room, you know.
Amazing. Of course, Peter, at top class level, the players moan like crazy if the tables are not level. So, I mean, over the years, that must have been a massive problem.
It is, and one of the things they did was to introduce slate for the bed of the table rather than the wood. And if you'll follow me, I'll show you some slate beds.
Okay.
Here we have a wooden bed, prior to slate again. So this is pre-1826. You can see that it's made into a frame, and each of these blocks, the grain runs in the opposite direction, and that's trying to keep the bed level.
OK, because obviously if it's one piece of wood, it would be warping all over the place.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And somewhere in our ledgers we have found that they called it about flogging the bed, which was to go out with a plane and plane over the surfaces to take over the high spots when the players complained about it not being level.
Yeah, but look, there's some gaps. I mean, they had to put up with big gaps, like a crevice, that one. Look at that. Oh dear, there'd be trouble there if you were trying to roll up slowly to the yellows.
It would obviously put a bit of side on, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Not very thick.
No, and again, when they went to slate beds, they copied this. This is only about an inch thick.
Yeah.
And the original slate beds were made so that they just replaced the wooden beds. So they were not very thick. This one is actually in 3 sections. And I think the early lightweight beds in slate were again in 3 sections. But as we developed and you wanted a better surface, because a thin slate actually will warp, will actually go hollow or will go round depending on how it's supported. So to go to a thicker slate would mean that they could keep the bed level.
And some slate ones this side as well.
This is an example of it. We're going now to what is the standard thickness of around about 1 3/4 or 45 millimetres. This is in 5 sections, which is now the standard way of having a slate bed, although this is a concrete one from about 1860.
Oh, right, it's concrete. Oh.
This one's concrete.
Why?
But the principle's the same.
Yeah. Why 5 sections?
5 sections is two reasons, I think, is for 5 sections. One is that it's a size, given now the thickness, that people can carry and be able to deliver to places. And also, rather than having it in, say, 4 sections, where a joint would then probably hit the middle pocket.
Oh, of course,
slate obviously is quite easy to sort of break up a bit. So rather than have a problem with the middle pocket, they made it into 5 sections. And then you can carry these. 2 people can just about do it, but if you're delivering a table upstairs, you need 4 people.
They tried any other materials?
They've tried a lot of other materials over the years. When we had the boom in snooker in the 80s, they tried using resins mixed with granite, mixed with slate dust. They've even tried float glass. But slate is easy to work. You can level it. 5 sections. If we had this laid up on a table and set up right before we put the cloth on, and I got you to close your eyes, run your finger over the length of the table, you wouldn't be able to find the joints.
The old Welsh slate mines are gone now. Where's it all coming from?
Well, the majority of tables that still exist, the old tables will have Welsh slate in, the newer tables will have Italian, and now the very new tables will have probably Chinese slates in.
I've just seen something over your head. Oh, look, tell me about. I know. Tell us, what's this? It runs all the way along the.
Yes, this was for your billiards when you were playing your in-offs and you're practicing at home.
Yeah.
You didn't have to walk all the way down to go and get your white ball out
You
the
go
pocket.
in off into the top corner pocket, and the ball came back down to you.
Exactly.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. I haven't seen one of those for years. Oh, and I'll tell you what I haven't seen for years, obviously as a professional, the coin-operated 5p in the metre for the light, half an hour.
Or probably one of those, some of them would have only been sixpence.
Have you got one that's got just a groat in? You just put a
Well,
groat
no, I don't think we went back that far. They probably were doing it on people with bits of paper in those days.
Fantastic. There. Feeding the metre, it used to be called. Keep the light going on.
Indeed.
There's one thing that Stephen Hendry's never put any money in one of those meters in his life.